Episode 108. Man, every time I read it off, I'm just like, holy shit, we've done 108 episodes of this stuff already. I'm not making any money from this yet. Like, I thought I'd be retired off my podcast. You know, it's like, what the fuck, man? What's going on with this? All right, today we're going to talk about something that I love talking about, which is mindsets, okay? And I'm going to open up with this quote from Marcus Aurelius, which I've loved, and I made a video on this forever ago, and I use this quote all the time. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, and it's not a truth. I love this quote, and this is something that, I mean, if you know me on a personal level, you know that I'm not a very religious person, but I'm a pretty philosophical person, and I love Stoicism. I love Marcus Aurelius. I love, like, just Stoic quotes, period. I was talking about this to, who was I talking about? Why am I forgetting? Whatever, it was one of my morning clients. And, like, I was like, man, I'm just surprised, like, how many people just don't enjoy their job, right? Like, or go about their day or their life and just not enjoying so many pieces of it, right? And then I was kind of reminded last night going through an assessment, talking about stress and nutrition with this guy that we signed up, and, you know, younger guy, and just had started a new startup and has all these investors, and he's 9.9 out of 10 stressed, he said. And there's so many people that I hear that are just so stressed out with their life, right? And generally it comes from two areas. It comes from work and it comes from family, right? And those generally tend to be the two big ones for something at home, right? Family related, close people, significant other, whatever. And I think about this a lot because, you know, when I was an employee, I used to always think that, like, the grass is greener, and once I own a business, like, everything's just going to be so good. You're going to be so rich. You're going to be living on a yacht, taking vacations all the time, like every kid dreams about when they start a business. And then you hear about all these people that have businesses that are like, don't fucking start a business. I would never wish entrepreneurship on anybody. But to be honest with you, I never really was sad too as an employee, and kind of, like, the older I get, the more I learn to appreciate that everything is literally just a perspective, right? Like, what makes something good or bad in your life is your perspective on that thing, right? What's good to you might be bad to me, or bad to me might be good to you. Like, so there's all these, the usual quote of different strokes, different folks. Like, everyone has different things. Someone's junk is someone else's treasure. And when you think about that at its core concept, like, what makes something good for someone else? Well, that could be bad for someone else, right? And then I look at, you know, people's views on life, politics, their jobs, their relationships, their people around them. You know, our parents' generations, and every generation I'm sure past us has always said, well, these kids these days are fucked up. They're just not the same. Or they say the music they're listening to is just trash. Or the way they dress is fucking ugly. And I do that too already. You know, I was just making fun of Crocs the other day. I saw a kid walking down the sidewalk and had his Crocs on, with his bedazzled, like, little pieces in there, and he was smoking his little vape, which looks like a little pink robot dick. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this generation, you know? But it's like every generation has their thing that the generation previously is just going to make fun of, right? My dad used to always say that it's like, you can't teach an old monkey new tricks. Which, as I've gotten older, I realize is a very closed-minded statement, and I hope that I try to do my best to not become closed-minded. And I think it's very easy to become closed-minded because your life, your community, your environment all shape who you are and create this mindset of the person that you become. And the older you get, the more you just like to stay in your lane with the shit that you know works, right? Which is everything from what you do to what you think and what you see and the whole nine yards. So coming back to this whole perspective and opinion thing. But at a really, like, deep philosophical perspective, nothing in your life is good or bad. They just are, right? And this level of emotions that we feel day by day are not good nor bad. You choose to label them based off your own opinion and your own perspective, right? But they are separate from you. They are detached from you. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. They are something that are done at an unconscious level. So if we're trying to shape this beautiful life where we can enjoy every single facet and asset and piece of our life to live a happy life, then that requires us changing our perspective on how we view everything, right? I made a post on this on my story on my personal Instagram earlier in the week where I was like, it is crazy to think about and hard to explain that when you love every single piece of your life, how blissful life is, right? And I was thinking about just like being excited waking up in the morning, waking up to my beautiful fiance and my beautiful dog, and then being able to have time to read because my job allows me to have a little bit of time where I can read and walk my dog. And then how I love my cars because I just love driving fast cars. And I, which, a lot of people hate their drive to work or that, and then I go to work and I love my coworkers and I love my clients. And I love my job. And I love working out, and so I'm just going down like, man, I just like love every little piece of my life. And I think a lot of it comes from creation of what you build for yourself. Like, yeah, there's definitely hard parts to everyone's life, including my own. But learning to love it is not only of a what thing, it's a why behind it, right? And it's your perspective and it's your viewing of it. So if you really want to change your life for the better, then change the way you view those things, right? And an example, and I think I heard this quote, I don't know who it was, but it was like on a podcast or a YouTube video, some shit I was watching probably as always. And the guy was like, if you know that you're going to be in traffic every day, then why does the traffic frustrate you, right? Like if you know it's going to be a part of your life and you learn to accept that, then why would it become a frustrating thing? If you know you have to work in order to make money, then why would you not try to transition the perspective towards learning to invite these things and love these things and accept these things, or try to shape things that you have more fulfillment from? I'm not saying that everyone has great jobs or everyone has great relationships or everyone has nice cars or everyone has easy drives to work or everyone like has a great relationship with their workouts and their nutrition. I'm not saying people do. I'm saying there's potential to change the viewing towards those things. And when you change the view and the mindset and the perspective towards it, you then can start to take back a lot more control on what you need to change to make those things even become better versions of themselves. Like, how do I just make everything good in my life? Like, everything is good. Everything is easy. Something that sometimes my fiance gets a little annoyed that I say this, but I'm like, everything's easy. Everything's easy. There's nothing hard. Doing dishes is not hard. Working is not hard. Running a business is not hard. Having a kid's not hard. I know there's a lot of people that probably already get triggered just even hearing that. Now, I was saying that just joking around with some of the guys in my client city yesterday. I was like, I can't wait till I have kids because, all my friends that have kids, they said, man, I have kids, I can't go golf, I can't do these things, it's hard, like you lose your fitness. Once you get into your 30s, all these bullshit excuses that we all feed each other. And that is a perspective, right? When I first opened up the business, I was 25 years old, leaving Equinox, turning 26 by the time it officially opened up, at 25 when I pulled that LLC, so I tell people 25. My mom was like worried, and both my parents kind of had, I wouldn't say an unsupportive opinion about it, but like a typical parent trying to be protective of their child kind of opinion of like, I don't know if this is the right move. I think you should stick with what your job is. You have a W-2 job. You have a good, you're earning 6 figures as a trainer. You have a good schedule. Why would you try to leave that and start over and possibly take years to potentially even make what you were making previously, or not even make it and it fails or whatever? Like, not really spending a lot of time being very optimistic about the upside, which is what I try to focus on, which is what I'm trying to talk about today. And I remember one of the things that kind of stuck with me, she goes, I don't know if you're going to have time to do anything that you want to do anymore, right? Like, you love skimboarding, you love surfing. Like, my mom has always been like, you do so much. And like, as a mom or as a parent, it makes me happy to see how much stuff you're doing outside of work. You're not just doing the typical, becoming a corporate zombie and just working the rest of your life and just doing go to college, get a job, get a house, get married, have kids, and just like live this typical life. I've always had fun hobbies. I've always had good friends. I've always had fun things to do. And I definitely did not want to lose that. And I prioritized that with my work-life balance of like, this is what I want. I know it's like I could probably move the needle faster in my business career by sacrificing some of those things. But for me personally, it's not what I wanted to do. And I remember as soon as I opened up the business, my mom was like, I can't believe that you're able to run the business and still do all these things. It's like, and she was like, it was like a proud thing to say, but it just goes to show you that that's like a perspective. Like, when you know that like things could be good or bad, but they're just a viewing of them, why would you not choose to think that it's good until it's not good, right? Like, why worry about something being bad until it's bad, right? Like, I think Bill Burr was saying this on an interview, on a video I saw a couple weeks ago, and I loved the statement. It's like why would you like worry about things being bad? Like, handle the bad when the bad happens, right? And it's so true. Like, you know, I think about like the pandemic was probably a big lesson for me from a personal perspective, what was going on in the world, but mainly more just work, just like handling all the shit that was going on, you know, and trying to babysit all the clients and coaches and make sure that I kind of kept the ship running tight, right? And make sure that we didn't get lost in the sauce. We're able to run and focus on the mission of what we do as a company. And it was a very like hard educating lesson for me in life, right? Because it gave me so many perspective changes. It gave me so many things that allow me to reassure myself that I'm able to go through tough times and survive them, right? But imagine like living that, expecting that all the time. Like, imagine, oh, like the world could shut down. And this is one thing that like drives me insane with people that talk about the news or politics or things going on in the world, that I'm like, why? Why would I waste my energy with it, right? You know, and I have a couple friends of mine that are, I would say, relatively extreme in their political views, right? And they'll always, like, you know, you hang out with them and you'll have the people that are kind of in the middle or don't really care like me, and they'll start trying to convince you and persuade you of why do you not view this, or why do you not vote for this person, or whatever. And I'm using like a political example because this is a pretty extreme example for a lot of people. And the answer I've always given is my life has not changed no matter who is in office, right? My happiness, my emotional state never changed. And this is why I don't care about politics. This is why I don't vote. This is why I don't watch the news. This is why I don't get involved with other people's business. This is why I try not to care about other people's opinion. Because what does it do to benefit my life, to make me a better version? If I focus on my core of myself, my significant other and family and friends, my coworkers, my business, and the community that I'm serving, then what else would really have any benefit doing outside of that, right? Yes, I'm sure there's people going to get like, you know, I was like, what about the policies for this? Who cares, right? If I pay 40% tax or 4% tax, I'm going to live life, keep doing it because I love what I do, right? I just want to keep doing it. I don't do it for something. It's a byproduct of that something that I'm getting in return. And I think taking this perspective in our life, and what I'm saying here too, and I hope that this comes off as me just trying to share my story, because like, why would I not try to share something when I feel good and I have a very like strong foundation of just loving a lot of parts of all parts of my life, that like, why would I not try to just share this perspective that I have? But it's nowhere near trying to persuade you to being like, you have to do this, right? Because just like I said in this opening quote, it's not the truth. It's my perspective. It's my opinion, right? So what you're hearing from me is my opinion and my perspective. And I think it's important for you as the listener to take your life and change the perspective and opinion around it to make sure that you feel better on how you approach that, right? Because when you can take that control back and you can change the perspective and you can learn to become happier in every situation, you can learn to accept the good and the bad, or whatever you view them as, you then feel like you're in the driver's seat of your own life, right? Being a sheep and being convinced or influenced by other people and living your life based off other people's opinions or other people's rules is a very easy way for you to live someone else's life. You are your own individual, right? Everything that we hear from podcasts to news to media, and this is like, you know, kind of coming back to this news statement, like, I don't listen to the news personally because I don't want to say this in an offensive way. I just really don't care much about what's going on outside of like my life, right? And that sounds very selfish, but like I said, I focus on myself. I focus on my significant other, my family, my friends, and my coworkers. I focus on my business and my community that I serve, and that's just what works well for me. And there's a lot of that love and attention and work that is selfless, but it's my core group, right? Because what goes on in LA or what goes on in another country or what goes on in different areas, like, it doesn't have impact on me. So there's no point to me, in my opinion, really putting a lot of energy towards like paying attention to those things, especially when they're negative, right? And I think we've all hopefully learned this, especially through the pandemic, but just in life, that most news like platforms, fear sells better than most things in life, right? So using fear as a bait or a hook for a marketing thing always works well. So it's not very, and it's sad to say. It's like, why would you not think like the good stuff is the stuff that would sell? But it's like, it's unfortunately like, it's the bad shit that they put on the television all the time. But why I use that as an example is like, it's not that different on social media. It's not that different even with the people that you talk with in person. Like, be aware of what you're surrounding yourself with, because the reason why your perspective or opinion maybe is negative or is viewed differently is probably also not only just an interpersonal thing, but it's also probably the people you surround yourself with, right? Because it's like, if I'm around people that are always complaining about something or always bitching about something, it's like naturally you are going to be someone that's going to start to complain about those things or bitch about something. Why not be that person in your life or your group or your family that comes with this optimistic point of view all the time, right? It just comes with this a place of love, right? And like, you'll hear some of these people that are a little bit more spiritual talk about operating at a different frequency, right? And enlightenment and joy and love and all these things are at the very top, and the high frequency things, and then guilt and shame and fear and all these other things at the bottom. Your body literally is listening to what you tell yourself, and it's not just audibly, verbally, what you tell yourself internally without even saying it out loud. So it's like, if I can learn to just take this very optimistic perspective change that everything is going to be great, everything's going to be easy, this is going to be no problem, going into it with almost this obnoxious level of confidence gives me an advantage, what I think, right? Because like, why would I not want to go into any business opportunity, any relationship or conversation or negotiation, any situation in my life that's going to come, and not view it as something that's going to be easy or fun or enjoyable, right? Because when I go into like, well, when I have a kid, you know, I'm going to lose all this sleep, work's going to be hard, I'm probably going to be a little bit irritable, it's going to be challenging for my relationship. And it's not to say this, those things don't exist. They will for sure happen. Versus me being like, I'm excited to have a kid in life. And this is true. Like, I'm excited to have children. I'm excited to raise people. And I understand that just like running my business, it comes with sacrifice. Like, I don't run a just like a solopreneur kind of thing where I'm just doing this alone. I do this with a team of 12 people with 600 clients, and that requires us being a balance of selfish and selfless to be good at coaches. And this is why I love coaching. This is why coaches love coaching. It's because there's this nice dynamic between both of it. But the view behind it is, it's not just like, oh, I have to go train some clients. It's like, no, I get to go train some clients. You don't have to do shit. You don't need to do anything. You get to do those things. You should want to do those things. And when you change that perspective towards I want to, or I get to, or I love this, or I'm happy to do this, and even those small little changes that you say verbally, out loud to other people, internally to yourself, your point of view on those things, it will make the journey of life so much more blissful and enjoyable, because all you did was change the perspective, right? You change your opinion for the better. And I think once it requires us as humans, and when people say so many people are complaining about the country and oh, everyone's leaving California because of politics and because of, you know, it's so expensive and taxes, like, what a fucking negative way to look at life. Like, I love where I live. I love where I work. I love the state that I live in. I love the country that I live in. I have never lived anywhere else outside of America, so I can't tell you if it's better or worse. But I don't have enough negative things that are getting me to leave or do those things. And I'm using these random examples because it carries over to every part of your life, your job, your relationship, etc. That I'm like, no, I really do like it. Like, and why would I try to spend any time wasting energy around like what doesn't work about it, right? And I think a lot of times when people move away from things, they leave a relationship, they leave a job, they leave where they live. And not to say those don't work, because there is a lot of power in leaving bad situations, but don't be afraid to challenge yourself every once in a while, that understanding if you continually do it and nothing improves, maybe you're the problem and not the thing you're leaving is, right? That's a perspective change, right? Like, I always say this to Cisco and Glenn in manager training and leadership training, that everything is your fault. And once you learn to accept that everything is your fault, you can then focus on what you can control versus trying to bitch about the things that someone else, a coworker, an employee, is not doing good enough of, right? Because like, that is something that requires you just taking the perspective change around it, right? And that's the difference between the people that live a long time, that are happy, that have a good life, that don't complain about things, that get things done easily, they make everything look effortless. And it's not that they have a skill set that you don't. Well, maybe in a mental perspective, but they don't have a physical. They're not smarter than you. They're not more physically capable than you. They just learn to take this mindset shift towards everything that they do, right? So I don't want to kind of keep rambling on because this is a subject that I feel like I can kind of go like just a bunch of different ways with, but I want to leave you guys with that. Take this as an opportunity, hopefully, to take every aspect of your life, from your family to your relationships at home, to your fitness, to your nutrition, to your job, to the place that you live, that everything is a perspective and opinion, right? Nothing is good or bad. There's nothing is like a good diet or a bad diet. Stop knocking things. Stop being pessimistic. Stop doing things from a need or I have to. You get to, you want to, you would love to. I'm excited about it. This is going to be easy. Use those words in your vocabulary more often and watch this natural shift around you, right? Not only internally with how much better your own life is going to be, but how much more people are going to want to be around you because you are that light in their day that it's always like, fuck, man, this person's always in a good mood. I just love being around this person. Like, no matter what I do, they always have something optimistic to say, right? No one likes hanging around someone. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's misery loves company for a reason. There's plenty of people who love that. If you're in a bad place, being around negative people sometimes feels like complimentary because you're just like, I want to hear you bitch about other shit. But there's plenty of people that would love to be finding somebody that's the light in their day, and you'll just watch everything shift, right? Your stress will go down, your sleep will improve because it, your diet will get better because you change your relationship towards it. Your fitness is going to get better because you're actually going to enjoy it a little bit more. And I'm not going to say just because you change the vocabulary that it automatically changes. It takes time because you're still going to have to go through changing habits, and habits are hard to change, and it doesn't matter what the habit is. But it is a dramatic shift in life that I hope all people can take with them every single day, and understand that there's seasons to it. It's easy to be motivated. It's easy to be good at things you're doing when you're motivated. It's hard to be good at things when you're not motivated. It's hard to convince yourself that everything's good when you're having bad things go on around you, right? You know, like I go through, it's easy for me to say this because like I don't really have anything necessarily in my current day or lifestyle that is hard or stressful for me. But 6 months ago, you would ask me when I was opening up the gym, I was fucking bitching about everything, right? So it's like, there's seasons to it for sure. But no matter what, I think accepting the process and the journey and understanding that no matter what, even when I was bitching about everything, building out a gym, I always convinced myself at the end of the night, like, it always works out. It never has not worked out. And worst case scenario is like, it's not going to kill me, right? So if it doesn't kill you, it's going to make you stronger. So that's the way to live life, in my opinion. And I hope that you guys can adopt an opinion of more optimism with your life and people around you, because we need more lights. We don't need more dark. And we want people that are going to be positive, because positivity spreads just like anything else will. And we can start selling happiness and love versus fear-mongering bullshit. All right, guys. Episode 108, check mark.